Kirk and Bird.
Kirk and Bird.
This is the Kirk and Bird Show. Welcome. We are excited to have a really dynamic, special, fun guest, Mr. Andre Kendrick. Dre, how you doing down in Plantation, Florida, brother?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you guys doing?
We are doing well.
Very well, very well.
Good. Good to hear.
A few days of rain. Now, we got turned on to the Dre Ken Talk podcast, and I think I've watched all of it. And you got something special going on, man. A lot of energy. You know a lot of people. Rusty and I both have checked out some things. And Dre, you and I were talking before this came on, off mic, that there's a lot of people doing this, but I don't know how many people you really want to watch. So once you intro by telling us a little bit.
Hey, Dre, before you go, I just want to let you know, like, I was just introduced to it in the last couple of days, and I right off the bat was like forwarding your videos to my son, who's a high school junior who's trying to get recruited. So I was like, look at what he said. This kid is, so I'll let you go, but I'm letting you know, like, right away, you already making an impact, bro.
I appreciate that. And that's one of the things you want to do. You want to shed light and get information to what's going on. I tell people a lot, when they ask me, what do you get out of it? Somebody help me out, and what good is the information if you can't share it with somebody? There were several kids. Some I know, some I don't know, but if someone comes around and they need some help or they need some recruiting advice or some do's and don'ts, then I'm always there to, if they need it, I'll give it to them if I have the information. If I don't know it, I'll find it out for them. It's that important.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
So, Andre, you for years, I think you said it was almost a decade, you were running Central Virginia Elite travel team. You talked about the number of players that you've put into college. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how that's, how you've affected a lot of the lives in the Lynchburg, Amherst, Brookville, Forest area?
Well, 2010, I started coaching. My first boy, my oldest son, which is 22 now, my thing was I wasn't going to coach him because I didn't want me to overshadow him and everything, which turned out to be the worst mistake of my life. But, my thing was, I was coaching my youngest son's team and, things weren't going how I thought they should go,
Yeah.
Nothing against the organization that I was coaching for, whatever, or the programs. It was just, I didn't feel that was the way. So what we did was we started our own travel group, and what we did was we based it on like a college type of setup. So, you had study hall, you had to maintain a certain GPA. We had teachers actually calling. And before I go any further, we had an awesome staff. And it wasn't just me, we had multiple great coaches, and we had great fans, parent support, and we also had a great administrative team. So it made things easier, where to the fact that pretty much all of us coaches, all we really had to do is just like kind of be the disciplinarians and actually, show them, coach some football. But, like the principals would call us if they had issues with the kids or, with some type of work they needed to get done. So that's the thing we wanted to do. We wanted to get kids used to make sure they had the grades. The importance of the grades was always number one, being a good person. And also, the football will take care of itself. But since 2011, we've had 28 kids as of this year that's either played college football or basketball, and that is still playing college football or basketball. So that's something that we really proud of. And again, that wasn't something that I just did all on my own. I came with the vision, had some great people around, great supporting cast, great parent support. And even to this day, we still have that relationship, because we promised them one thing, that we will follow them all the way up. If they did what they supposed to do, then we would use our connections to try to put them in the best situation. Now, does that mean that we're going to get you into college? No, it means that we're going to prepare you for it. And we're going to put you out there to the point where somebody's going to know and be able to give us a good evaluation about you and tell us what we can do for you. And, the parents were receptive to that. And like I said, we had a great the great parenting staff, and we had a great administrative staff and some great coaches around. So that's something that we're pretty proud of around here.
Drake, so let me ask you this. So I've done a lot of the same with youth coaching, so is Kirk, but let me ask you this. And I want our audience to know some of these things to give them some perspective, because there are a lot of parents out there that try, I'm sure those guys that were doing it before you introduced your son to them may or may not have had some of the same experiences that you have had. So just so everybody kind of knows, like a lot of us already know, like we know, big Tech fan, we know who you are, but can you just give us a little bit of your background? I'd like to know for my audience, can you tell us a little bit about your high school career, where you went to college, the places that recruited you, why you went to where you went, and then what you've been doing since football for you on the field ended? Because that's because you know what, you're doing that stuff, but some of the kids that talk down, you just somebody's dad, or you Mr. Kendrick or Coach Dre, but they don't know, like, you toted the rock big time. Let us know, man.
Well, one thing I can say, about the kids around my area, and this has been ever since. Well, I mean, it's been for a while, ever since I was in college. I've always had a good rapport with the athletes, the kids around here. They know who I am, even the younger ones now. They follow my son, Dre Sean, and I think a lot of the kids kind of, they understand where I was at. Sometimes I don't think they know the magnitude of where I was at. A lot of times, oh, that's Andre to play with Michael Vick, which is cool. But I always tell people, like, nah, he played with me. I was there.
He played with you
early, but that's just how that was. But yeah, again, my name's Andre Kendrick. I went to EC Glass High School, graduated in '96, played for the legendary Bo Henson. Was the AAA Player of the Year before. There was all these divisions. It was just
wow. That was it. Yeah.
And AA, and then you had AAA 5 and 6. So I was AAA Player of the Year. I was recruited heavily by Notre Dame, Florida, Maryland, Washington. Actually, Phil Almation in Washington was the very first person when I was in 10th grade to offer me a scholarship, and that came from when we was at the Virginia Tech camp. He was the DB coach there, or I think he might have even been, he was the DB coach there. Yep. And he offered me after a camp. He got the job that fall, and he offered me when I was in 10th grade. But yeah, Florida. I always wanted to go to Notre Dame, and that's where I was stamped into going. And then Bob Pruitt, he was a coordinator, recruiting coordinator in our area. He was at Florida. And I don't know what it was about him. I just liked him. He always checked up on me, He was just one of those people that stayed in my ear. And one Sunday morning, I got a call from Steve Spurrier. And the call went like, "Hey, Andre, how you doing? Glad to hear you. So you're interested in Florida?" "Yes, sir." "All right, hope to see you soon." Bye. That was it. But it's a funny story. It was a funny story my senior year. So I wanted to go to Notre Dame. I scratched them, wanted to go to Florida. And I had set up all of my recruiting visits around my basketball schedule as a senior, because we were pretty good my junior year, and we had a good chance to kind of, repeat and get far back my senior year. So, I wanted to make sure, I was loyal to my basketball team. I was loyal to my basketball coach. So, I didn't want to just kind of disrupt things with that. So it's crazy. The Blizzard of '96, I got all of my visits scheduled around my basketball schedule. So we have this Blizzard of '96.
I remember that.
Yep.
One of my teammates, Carl Bradley, he went to Pitt. I was supposed to went with him. I didn't go. He got snowed in for 2 weeks up there. It was just crazy. And all of my visits got snowed out except for Virginia Tech. All of my visits got snowed out except for Virginia Tech. And my mom and dad told me, that's where the Lord wants you to go. And I stood by that. And I was like, well, that's where the Lord want me to go. I'll be there. So I ended up at Virginia Tech, which turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life.
Oh man, that's a great story, man. I like that. I like that. And you ended it with because Kirk and I are big time Christians, and we love to hear when somebody is being led and follows the Lord's lead. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
I mean, at the end of the day, I tell my kids, and I tell everybody, it's just this. I know where my blessings come from. I'm no fool. My parents raised me in the church. you know, I don't do everything right, but at the end of the day, I know I'm a child of God.
Yep.
And, you know, so, you know, my prayer, every football game, my prayer was, Lord, please let me go out here. Please let me do my best. Please let me have a good game. Please don't let me get hit hard. That was my prayer every game. And, you know, I kind of, that's what I told, you know, kind of passed that on down to my son. And he kind of, you know, doing that too. So we are you know, we are a very spiritual family. You know, we, like I said, we know where our blessings come from. We're not ashamed of the gospel or anything like that.
Amen. Good stuff.
Did we do wrong? Yeah, I know I can speak for myself personally, but, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, I know where my blessings come from and all my help.
There you go.
Yeah.
Andre, who at Tech was your recruiter?
Ricky Bustle. Love
Okay.
Ricky Bustle to death. Love him to death. Good guy. Good guy.
And your position coach was Billy Height, which
Love Billy.
Legend.
Love Billy. It's kind of funny because, you know, I got recruited. It's funny because I played quarterback, but at every camp that I went through the summer times, I would play quarterback in the daytime and DB in the end, at the end of the day. So that's where I got all my defensive back scholarships from, was from college camps. You know, that's why I got
wow.
rankings and, you know, all this, you know, stuff. And people like, oh, how you do all that? And you weren't even playing a whole lot of defense because, you know, Coach Henson used to just put me in on situational situations, third and long or something like that, or if it's a passing team, heavy passing team, you know, he'll throw me in there occasionally. So I really didn't get a whole lot of time. It's just that I went and I showed up when I went to the camps. And, you know, that's how I earned my ranking in as a DB. But so
that shows your athleticism, because that's what, if you don't have the tape on it, but you're doing it in the camp, that's your athleticism. But best athletes are playing that DB.
Well, yeah, and you know, it's kind of crazy. I went to Tech. I was a defensive back. We had a situation where I think that Ken Oxendine had got injured. I think Marcus Parker had got injured, so they were down to like two backs. So my senior year, I mean that my freshman year, they asked me, they pulled me over. Coach Beamer asked me like, how you feel about playing DB? I'm like, you know, I like it or whatever. He said, so what do you think about running back? I said, Coach, I just want to get on the field. And he said, I knew he was going to say that. And he pulled me over there. And it was crazy that, you know, I had a great summer before, you know, the first game, got injured. So, you know, of course, Red Shirt had a great time developing my body, learning the system, and just getting used to the college life. And, you know, that's how that kind of unfolded for me.
Okay.
So you played in the glory years. You know, your final 3 years, that 98 team was the one that had 3 losses. And they should have been 3 wins, as you very well know. And by the way, you
homecoming.
yeah, I know. I drove there and drove back. It was a long drive.
It was a long walk across the campus to your room.
Syracuse on the last play, Donovan McNabb, like huddle, bent over. We lost that one the last play, and then Virginia we had beaten. And then the next year with the magical run.
Oh yeah,
you had that touchdown where you took it to the house. We went up at the end of the third quarter. I'm sitting in the Superdome saying we're going to win the national championship. And then the next year, I think the only game we lost was Michael Vick was injured against Miami. Talk about those magical years.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I mean, we always at Tech, ever since I've been there, you know, I came when we went to the Orange Bowl. So I was a red shirt the year we went to the Orange Bowl, and our defense was lights out. You know, you had Cornell Brown, he was a consensus All-American. You had Tony Morris, and you had just Nate Williams. I mean, it was just a whole rack of guys that, you know, actually a lot of those guys went to the NFL too. And, you know, we had great defense. You know, Al Clark, he came in, and Al Clark was a great quarterback. What happened with Al is his knee. He couldn't get his knee right. And, you know, I remember games just watching before the game, him getting his knee drained and stuff like that. And Al had a rip, man. He was one of the toughest, if not the toughest guy that we had up there. Because, I mean, you know, he was getting his knee drained just to go play football. Wow. Knee was big. So, but when Mike came around, we had that defense. And then, you know, we had that threat the extra threat at the quarterback. Not saying that Al couldn't run, but there's no Michael Vick. I don't care what nobody say. Lamar Jackson, he is phenomenal athlete, but to do what Mike did, in the college game, it just, man, it's just amazing. And we never seen it before. But once he came around, and we already had that tenacious defense, that lunch pail defense led by Coach Foster. And once we came around, we got Mike. Everything just started to just fall into place. We already had a great running game, and then we had some great receivers: Andre Davis, Ricky Hall, Emmett. And I will say this: if we have Ricky Hall when we play the national championship healthy, we win that game. No questions about it. No.
Yeah, I agree.
He broke his foot. Didn't he break his foot that year?
It was something he did something like right before, like it was maybe a week before even the game or something like that. It was something he was trying to get back. I remember feeling bad for him, because Ricky was one of the reasons we was there. He returned punts. He was a big possession receiver. Ricky was that guy. And like I said, I think we win that game with Ricky there. But we had everything rolling. We had our own brand of football, and that was Beamer ball. Beat you to death on defense, and then we run the ball down your throat, might break big play, or we throwing it over top to Dre Davis or Ricky Hall. So we had everything going.
And great special team.
Awesome special teams. It wasn't about the special teams in that era. Not one. Yeah. Shane Graham. I remember Shane Graham when we was in 9th grade. He kicked a 35-yard field goal as a freshman in high school to win the state championship. And
wow.
I remember he was came to the Six Stadium. We was beating 35-0. He kicked a 55-yard field goal in high school, and our fans got up and clapped. So I knew about Shane, and then we had the toughest kicker by far bar none than anybody ever. Jimmy Kibble was the toughest kicker. He gonna kick the ball, and he gonna go down there and make the tackle. It wasn't a little wrap up. He was gonna try to put it on you. So we just had that mentality that was actually given to us by Coach Gentry, our strength coach. Man, I look back and think like, Lord, if I was in half the shape or half as strong as I was when I had Coach Gentry, man, my life would be a whole lot easier right now.
Let me ask you this, Andre. We being from the Peninsula District, Hampton Newport News, we started hearing how special Michael Vick was his freshman and sophomore year. And, he was overshadowed, as everybody knows, by Ronald Curry. He never made first team district, region, or state, but we had been told he was very special. And I think the Tech fans, the Tech world, Hokie Nation, didn't necessarily know that. When did the team and the program start to see that, well, this guy is something else?
I'm going to tell you this story. It was the year, it was, I had asked Coach, it was Mike's senior year in high school. And I asked Coach Height, Coach Bustle. I was like, Coach Bustle, y'all going after Curry? He was like, no. And this is 97, 90 and 97, early 98. He was like, no, it's a guy down there that's better. I'm like, what you talking about, Ron Curry?
Yeah.
3 state championships? I'm like, what? He said, this kid, Michael Vick, is the real deal. I was like, yeah, all right, Coach. So Mike came up on his recruiting visit. He was cool and everything. I didn't really see any too much special with him, but usually in the summertime, the new players come in early, 3 days earlier than the rest of us. So, and we never go down there and watch we never go watch the other kids. We just, because we wanted to wait all out much as time as we could before we had to go down there. So we wouldn't even go. And I'll never forget that Ike Charlton came. I was living with Ike Charlton. He came to the room. He's like, man, you got to come see this kid. We went down there, and it took me one ball to know that he was the real. He threw a 15-yard out. And I swear when he threw it sounded like he had hit a golf ball. And it was just like, and it stuck to the receiver. I was like, oh no. Then we was leaving. And Coach said, don't go nowhere yet. They started running 40s. He ran the 40, and I'll never forget it. Coy Moore said, we're going to win the national championship.
Wow.
That's what he said. Coy Moore said, we're going to win the national championship. I'll never forget that day.
Yeah. My
ever.
brother was coaching down there in the Peninsula District at back then, the new high school Heritage,
Mhm.
and he had played at Tech. And my brother, and I'm up here, and I'm in Northern Virginia, and I'm hearing about this Ronald Curry. My brother's like, nah. He said the same thing. He's like, nah. There's this kid, Michael Vick, at Warwick, that is the real deal.
Yeah.
And if we can get him at Tech, it's gonna be special. He told me about it like before anybody was even hearing about it. So no, and it was definitely.
And mind you, I had just lost the state championship to Ronald Curry. And I felt like, and still to this day, feel like we was the best team in the state in any division that year. Because we had beat Annandale, they won the state that year. We had beat GW. I mean, we beat Lee Davis. I mean, we was plowing teams. And it was just that, like I said, it was to the point where, and I had to apologize to Coach Henson last week when I did his interview, like, Coach, I'm sorry, man, because we were so dominant. I was just like, man, can't nobody beat us. And I was like, I just knew we was gonna win. Never had any preparation. Like we just gonna go up and show up. And we went up 7-0 and had the ball, driving it down on the 1 yard line. They called it a fumble. We fumbled and the game changed. I watched Ronald Curry just like grow up in front of my eyes. But then like once they told me about I was like, nah, I don't believe the Michael Vick myth. But once he came to that campus and he showed what it took 2 plays. It took one pass and him running the shit. And Coy Moore, I'll never forget it to this day. He looked me dead in my eyes and said, we're going to win the national championship.
Wow.
So
Came close also.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we got, a very, very once in a lifetime coach, and we got a very once in a lifetime player to set the program. And then, I remember when Vic came, they started talking about expansion. They started spending money. And, the program just took off, and there was a lot of ceiling. So, we were talking before, Tech's been around for a while now, the bowl streak and being in the top 25, and the program, is known. Coach Beamer set a standard of excellence. Now we've got an excellent opportunity, 7:30 on Saturday night against Notre Dame, school that you thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Want to ask you a couple questions. What do you think about how Tech's doing this year, how we're going to do on Saturday, and the overall status of the program back from, we're talking, 20 some years ago, back in the heyday when all eyes were on Virginia Tech. We had 3 Sports Illustrated covers. What do you think about what's coming up now, the program, and how it compares?
At this point, it's not a comparison, and I'm just being honest with you, just because of the fact that back then we were landing, we own Virginia far as recruiting, and that's one thing in college football that you have to be able to do. You have to be able to win your state. Point blank.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. Texas Christian shouldn't have more recruits than any Virginia school. It shouldn't. That's just me. That's just how I feel about it. But it's different because you got a guy like Coach Beamer that's left a legacy and has built a program, to national prominence. And, I understand as a new coach, you coming in, you want to start your own thing. You want to do your own thing. But it's traditions and things like that I feel that should stay in place. And I feel that it's things that got us to this point that should have stayed in place. Personally, I don't have anything personal against Coach Fuentes. My thing is this: I'm tired of seeing Tech lose to people that they shouldn't lose to, and it's been that way since kind of like since Beamer's guys all left. And like again, I'm not sitting here bashing Coach Fuentes or anything like that, but it's just the fact that to see it go from what it used to be to what it's become now, like I tell people all the time, like we shouldn't be happy with having the best interest in college football. What I'm saying?
Right.
We should that shouldn't be it. Because Virginia Tech has always been based on toughness, the mentality, and I think Marcus Parker talked about it. The mentality that we used to have is different, And I know things happen, things change, time progresses. Things move on, and things like evolution. But I just feel like, you know, at this point, we're not where we need to be. And I don't like really the direction that we're going, because at the end of the day, it's like a lot of these Virginia Tech teams have been known like the Bull Streak. I mean, that's something to be proud of. And when that comes and goes, it's kind of like, you know, you're starting to lose stuff to hang your head on. And my biggest thing is arguing with hokey haters. I mean, that it bothers me to the point where, like, sometimes, you know, I laugh it off. If it ain't serious, you know, I laugh it off. But some people get disrespectful with it, and you know, they kind of get me a little upset. But I don't really show too many of my cards when I'm upset. But I just let them know, like, come on, man, like, okay, where did you play school? Like, who was your team? And that's kind of how you shut everything up. But like I said, I'm just kind of tired of just, you know, I want to see my team win.
Well, Dre, let me just say this. I feel you, man. I have been a Hokie fan, especially for a majority of my life, but especially since my brother played there. Yeah. But this is the thing, I think you touched on it to me. The two things I'm say personally that get me about the program currently is we had the best and the most success when we were winning Virginia. When you were getting your athletes from the 757, from your central area, that central western part of Virginia, and then you go ahead and pick some of the best from the DMV. And when you were getting that combination, owning those athletes and getting them, that's when the program really grew. You know what? I'm going to give you a comparison. Miami got good in the early 80s when they figured we just going to let anybody get outside. We're going to put a ring around this Miami, Fort Lauderdale area and not let the best kids get out. If we put that around the state of Virginia and we own it, there's nothing that Virginia Tech can't do. And then this is the next thing that really gets me upset, and I want to hear your opinion on this. Y'all did it to me when you were in a much tougher conference. To me, the Big East was by far better than any. Look, if the Big East had stayed together, well, I think they made their mistake was not understanding the value of football and only thinking about the basketball side of it. Yeah. If they had picked up Penn State when they were an independent, put them with y'all, bro, look at that Big East conference and what it was. And that other part of that is it's such a weak ACC right now. That's why I'm disappointed. Not because we used to be good, but because the current conference got Wake Forest leading the way, man.
That's tough.
This is Miami. All those teams are down. I know I'm talking too much, but bro, those are my beefs with the program.
Yeah, but you think about this back then, man. I mean, the Big East you had West Virginia when they had Amos Zerway and Gary Stills and Foreman and all them boys.
Pat White.
You had
Major Harris.
Major Harrison. You had the Miami Hurricanes. Don't even need to speak on that. Miami is who Miami is.
Syracuse.
Boston College when they had Chris Hovan and all. The Big East was nothing to like sneeze at. And you know, during those years, those Big East years, a lot of Big East teams that weren't very good, like the Temple and the Rutgers and stuff, they were going outside of conference and competing.
Yeah.
So you know, it was kind of like, you know, and then like people used to say, like when we were there, they was like, well, you know, you can't beat Notre Dame and you can't beat Nebraska. I'm like, listen, man, right now, this Virginia Tech team is too fast for anybody in the country except Miami and Florida State. And that's what it was. But then again, you still had, oh man, I'm sorry, it slipped my mind. Well, you also had the Pitt when they had Lateef Grimm and they had all them wide receivers up there. I mean, it was just so many people. It was just, like I said, Rutgers and Temple used to look terrible to everybody, to us, but they would go outside and actually compete and beat some of these teams. And it's just, like I said, I think they got scared. They figured that basketball was going to be taken. I tell people all the time, football is not going anywhere. It's going to be a dominant sport. It's going to be the dominant sport. It's going to be your breadwinner. So the reason them sacrificing, you know, the football for the basketball was ridiculous to me. Yeah.
So, Andre, you're around a lot of recruits, and you've had the program, and I know that you're like a confidant with the Zach Rice and his mother, who's the #1 tackle, Liberty Christian.
Mhm.
So you've got your ear or you've got your finger on the pulse of recruiting. What's the word out there now? Because if you used to go to the Lynchburg area, kids were going to Tech or UVA. We talked a little bit about the Pitt pipeline with Reuben Brown, Keith Hamilton. But you had some great players go to UVA, Anthony Poindexter,
Yeah.
Jerton Evans, Butch Jefferson, and then of course
Rondé and Kiki. Rondé and Tiki Marvel.
And then Virginia Tech had just some incredible players from Amherst, from Lynchburg, EC Glass, Brookville, Forest, some guys that, Logan.
Pastor Kenny Roanoke.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is a starting tight end right now for the Redskins.
Yeah.
What's the word now on, staying home? Because obviously it's not happening anymore.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what it is. And I don't really have to watch what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna tell you, like, we got other schools that has Virginia ties that's coming into our area, and they are making their presence felt. And they're getting the top guys because they're putting effort into it. Just the other day I was talking to a recruit. He was like, man, geez, man, this school right here send me all types of, let's go, it's Friday, pictures. I mean, they doing their job. Dre Blige in Carolina doing his job. The guy from Pitt doing this job. I mean, them guys are really putting in the work to get these players. And what they're doing is they're coming into our area and they're cherry picking us. And the thing about it is like, this is not just Virginia Tech, it's UVA. Anytime that you got Liberty University pretty much beating you in these big recruits, and you Virginia and Virginia Tech, it's not a good sign. And
right.
You ask, like, what is it? But the recruiting trail back then was phenomenal, because I remember when I was a freshman, seeing Lou Holtz, seeing Skip Holtz, seeing Phil Fulmer,
wow,
seeing all these top coach Steve Spurrier. I mean, I'm seeing all these guys sitting on 211 Memorial Avenue at EC Glass. And then when my recruiting started, my team's recruiting started, it was still there. It kind of fell off a little bit, we still had people going, like Chris Cook was going to Virginia, and you had like a couple, Brad Butler was at Virginia, a couple of guys like spread it around, but it spread it out. But it wasn't like our class where we had, like, in the previous class where you had like Keith Hamilton, Curtis Anderson, Vince Williams, Reuben Brown, they all go to Pitt. Then you got guys like, Marcus Parker, JT Morris going to Penn State and Marshall. I mean, you just got these like five-star Power 5 schools that these people were getting picked up by, and it kind of fell off. But now with the resurgence of the area, we got like kids at LCA that's in 9th grade, Gideon kid from LCA is a freshman kid and got offers from Boston College, Pitt. I don't know if Tech's offered them yet. I haven't seen it, but you got the Davis Lanes, which is the quarterback at LCA that's, a Virginia guy. Zach Rice, everybody wants him. So, the recruiting in this area is definitely picking up, and it's getting back to that, getting back to where it needs to be. Oh, and I forgot the Penix kid out of Appomattox, which is
Appomattox.
I mean, I think this be there. If they win the state championship, I think it's like the 5th one in 7 years or something like that. So, the Penix kids, he got BC, Pitt. So, they coming in and picking our cherries, man, and it's sad to see.
Let me ask, as a Virginia Tech alum, let me know, do you feel like the program has done enough to reach out to you alumni and make you feel at home and then use you in that recruiting process?
If they were smart, they would, because it's a lot of us that have our fingers on.
Yeah.
Like realistically, like myself, and we coach the #1 defensive tackle in the country, Travis Shaw, that's going to Carolina. It's guys in Florida that I've talked to. When I was in Florida, just talking around, meeting some of the guys. And some of the top recruits. I was at St. Aquinas. I was at American Heritage. I mean, I was at not Grimsley, but Woodward and Jupiter. I went to all these places, and just kind of like, Virginia Tech reached out to you. No, they don't know. And we're talking about the kid, these top 10 people in the South, in the Miami South, and they just see them on TV. And I don't know if they don't think that they can get these kids, because I don't know what it is, but you got to understand, like, we had a nice cycle of Florida kids coming through.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
Stars. And like these kids, it may be and I don't want to assume. I hate to assume, but I think it's an assumption that these kids won't come to Virginia. When you got to understand, these kids want to get away from where they at. You know what I mean? Let's be real.
Yep.
Miami-Dade, that's
Yep.
tough. I was down there, man. I mean, hey, it's tough down there. And the areas and the conditions and the facilities. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's they want to see something different. And you know, me personally, I just don't know, you know, what it is if they don't want to listen to us or not. Because I mean, if it was me, I'm going to all my resources. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to all my resources, guys. You hands on with these players.
Yep.
A lot of these players that we know trust what we say and what we think. Now, are we saying that they're going to come? No, but out of respect for us, they're going to give you some consideration. You got the conversation. Now you do what you do with it.
Sometimes just having that
It's on you.
conversation, that conversation might lead to a visit. And then once you get on campus, all bets are off.
That's it. It's and that's it. If we can get the conversation, it should be your job to get them on campus. Once you get them on campus, you should. I mean, we have a beautiful campus, beautiful stadium, beautiful environment. We sponsored by Nike. I mean, it's so much that you got. I mean, your education is second to none, really. I mean, so you can do. I mean, so we got everything, the facilities. We can compete with anybody in the country with anything. It's just about, you know, what you do as a staff to keep them guys locked in or to get the guys interested.
Yeah, and 7 to 10 years ago in the Lynchburg area, I mean, Logan Thomas, Zach McCray,
Alabama guys.
we were getting our fair share of those kids.
Yeah. Well, not Alabama. They came to Tech, but you know, but at the same time, you had Curvin that was over at Brookville. We let Alabama get him.
That was like a signing day.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you know, so it's not that we don't have the athletes here. And what one thing that kind of, you know, I see that we recruit in Texas a lot. I see that, and it seems like all the Texas guys are breaking our hearts. As soon as they, you know, we're gonna commit to them. It's almost like they're using us as a stepping stone to get something better.
Oh yeah.
And you know, they commit to us, and then you get people, oh, well, check on them. Let's see what we go run over, and then we lose them. I always believe, you win with your talent at home, man. If we can win the 7-5, if we don't, it's not necessarily win the 7-5-7. Get a few of them top ranking guys from the 7-5-7, from the 804, from the 403, from the 5-4. Tech and UVA would be fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you just can't, I mean, you just can't depend on somebody coming from 8 hours away. I mean, you know, not saying that is a bad thing, but you got to think about this too. Like if you putting all your eggs in that basket, when it come down to between us and Texas A&M, or us and Texas, where you think they're going?
Yeah.
You're right here, mom. You don't know the situation. The mom could be, you know, somebody can have a kid. I mean, we just don't know those things. And I think homegrown Virginia, you can go to Virginia Tech, to anywhere in the state of Virginia within 6 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Why don't we transition? I know that is a point of pride for you. That's your son, Drayshawn, who's a redshirt freshman at William & Mary, playing for Mike London, who
former Bruin Mike London.
He said it before I could get it out. Bethel built Mike London, and your son is
Bethel High School, son.
Kirk, hold on 1 second, Kirk. I'm gonna go ahead and give you respect. We played, Bethel was my first real high school action. Like I got in, like I was a freshman when Glass lost to Bethel, to Allen Iverson and Bethel.
Okay.
Didn't know I was getting in the game. My dad told me I was getting in the game. I was like, man, I'm a freshman. I just got moved up 3 weeks ago. This is a state championship game, and Coach Henson called my name. I wasn't ready. But, you know, Bethel beat us that year, and that taught me a lesson. I always be ready the next time.
Yeah. Okay. So you was on the field
when I got to high school. I mean, I got to
right.
Yeah, I learned that when I got to
Good stuff. Yeah. Man, yeah, I'll tell you, we'll talk about your son, but I got a lot of respect for that area. When I was in high school, we went and played Patrick Henry Roanoke. Yeah. And those guys, man, they could ball. They could play some football, man.
Oh, yeah. Shannon Taylor, Shannon Taylor, the playing linebacker at UVA, was the quarterback at 240 pounds. I mean, we run the ops. He played quarterback and defense end.
Wow. Yeah.
So, it was a little different back then. But, Drayshawn, I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of Drayshawn and, the kids that were with him, because, like, it's a lot of his friends that play college football, and it's just a lot of the guys that they still keep that camaraderie. They check on each other, they root for each other. So yeah, I'm proud of what my son's doing, and I'm proud of what everybody's doing that that I had a chance to touch.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think Mike London has that program going in the right direction. I will just say this: that CAA is a balling football conference, man. If you could just beat some of the teams here in Virginia, if you JMU, Richmond, William & Mary is on the rise, and another thing I'm gonna tell you, Dad, I'm gonna give you props because that means you were making sure he was in the classroom if he's at William & Mary.
Oh,
I mean, it's already I already know it.
Our philosophy, we using football as an option B. You get that William & Mary degree, you can write your
absolutely.
own ticket. You can go to William & Mary. I would be more happy with you getting a William & Mary degree than going to play in the NFL, because that means that much to me. Now,
I feel you.
And the reason why I say that is because people are, he lying, he crazy. No.
No.
At the end of the day, you can go and make millions of dollars in the NFL if you that guy, and end up in a wheelchair or like a vegetable.
Yeah.
Or you can go to William & Mary and live a great, comfortable life. And not saying that can't happen to you, but the likelihood of the chances are slim. I want you to be able to use his mind, and he's a very intelligent, smart guy. And that, I know it's his dream to play pro football, and if that's what it is, and if that's the Lord's will, it'll happen. But one thing I always told him, like, brother, you can always can go back to work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm glad to hear
you can sit at a desk and type and make some good money. So
glad to hear you say that, man.
Keep stuff important. We got to stay, and that's what I tell every kid. Kids that come to me that got questionable grades. It's a simple conversation. Like, listen, buddy, I'll do anything I can for you, but at the end of the day, it's going to ultimately be up to you and which school you can get into. And if you take care of the grades, you don't have that problem.
So, Dre, one of the things we want to hone in on, because you've got something very special here, is you've got a really good relationship with Zach Rice, the #1 tackle in the country, and people are crazy about recruiting. Oh, yeah. And as we all three know, there's too much information out there. Mm-hmm. You're good friends with his mother. I know that you were up in Notre Dame. Talk to us a little bit about him, where he is. Obviously you can't speak for him, but I know he's got some finalists. Talk about the young man, the work ethic that he's put in, what kind of player he is, and, his progression from where he is now and where you see him going.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, like, all my kids are special, whether it's a #1 Zach Rice or it's the number 400 Joe Blow, and all my kids are special. But when you got a special talent like that, as a community, he should be covered. He should be taken care of because he's our own. He should be taken care of just like the rest of the kids. But when you got something special like a Zach Rice, that's something that you really pay attention to, and you make sure that you're giving proper information and proper advice, because you never know what you say could sway either way. First of all, I love the kid. Before football, before all that stuff, I love the kid. He's a great young man, and he's so humble. And like what I talk to Zach about a lot is like, man, you can't worry about what other, because you got to understand it's a reason that you're #1. And when you're #1, that's when all the arrows coming, brother. You are the one they're gunning for, and you're the one they're gunning for. But this kid, like I said, he's physically, man, it's just like he's imposing. We were down in Florida, and he was just working out with some older guys, and he belonged. He definitely belonged. Like I said, the kid is humble. He's one of those kids that you don't have to get mad for him to go off. We had some, great guys that worked with him when he was younger, and see, he has a great guy that he works with in Sudan Ellington that helps him out a lot, with things. And, my thing now is like, Zach, you're a lineman. The only thing I can give you now is just like advice on what's going on. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's your decision. And the kid got a great head on his shoulders.
That's great.
The thing about it is he's not looking at he's looking at life after football before it even starts. He's looking at those type of things like, what school can give me I can go anywhere in the world, country in the world, and go to the NFL. But who's going to give Zach Rice what Zach Rice needs? Physically and as the development from here as a man. Like I tell people all the time, like, listen, one of the most important reasons why Coach Dre Saunders is at William Mary is because I feel Coach London can take up from where I left off and continue to make my son a better young man. And I think that's what Miss Rice is looking for. And I think that's what Zach is looking for.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's checking the boxes. He's seeing what works for him and what doesn't work for him. He's not getting caught up in the emotion of it, because, you know, you got 50 people that want to come talk to you, and you go to a stadium and there's 60,000 people hollering your name, and you're a high schooler. You can get caught up into that. So, but I'm really proud of the way that he has blocked that part of it out just to maintain on what's important.
Yeah. It seems like based on some of your podcast, winning his mother over and her trust is going to be the key, because she is a strong lady and knows her stuff.
Very strong lady. She's not stupid about it. I'm going to tell you, I will go out on a limb and say this, that Mary Rice know more about football than a lot of high school coaches that I know.
Okay.
And it's not just, I'm talking about terminology, why they doing it, what steps you need to take.
Hand placement, steps, she's talking about all that.
She know everything. And that's just a testament to her, because she knew she had a baby that loved, enjoyed this. And she took it out. She's a business owner. She took it out of her own personal schedule, took time out of her own personal schedule to find these things out. And when she found those, I mean, like, I can literally sit her on here and you can ask her anything about football and she will tell you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that. So, yeah.
Good. That's good stuff.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go on record. I don't have the inside information that you are, but there is a Carolina blue wave hitting the Commonwealth of Virginia. And, you know, you take Route 29 down to Greensboro, you hit 40, you head east, hit 15501. Mac Brown's got it going on. That's a great university.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it has the football atmosphere that Virginia Tech has. However, it's a wonderful education. Rusty and I both know people from our area that have gone there that have done unbelievable things in life, with pro football, without pro football. So love to see Zach be a Hokie. I think he's going to be a Tar Heel. Just
and again, I've told the story a couple of different times. Like, Zach has been groomed. I don't know about everybody else, but through me personally, Zach has been groomed to be a Hokie. You know, he was groomed to be a Hokie, and he liked us. He loved Michael Vick. You know, and I would want nothing more than for him to be a Hokie. But at the same time, with a straight face, if it's not the best place for
him, right?
There's no way that this family's trusted me all this time for me to go ahead just because I'm a Hokie to be like, no, you need to go to Virginia. No, because if it's best for that kid, it's best for that kid. If it's not best for that kid, it's not best for that kid. I'm not just gonna sit here and feed him a bunch of stories just for him to go to Tech. It's not fair to him at all. And I think it violates our trust, because at the end of the day, with me, it's about the best position for that kid. I don't care if it's Virginia Tech. I don't care if it's UVA. I don't care if it's Notre Dame. I don't care if it's Carolina. Whatever's best for that kid at that moment, that has my support.
Dre, I'm gonna just tell you, man. I think this is my first time meeting you, but you are hitting all the right keys, bro. Like, you are the type of person, and we've got some up here, but that I would entrust my child to. So, you know, the things you're saying, like the way you're talking about your faith, the way you have your allegiance and you love your school, but you're talking about that individual going what's best for them. You're talking about the education. We see the impact and the value in that, and what you said about William & Mary. Man, you're the type of guest, you're the type of person, and that's why you're on here, that I think our community needs to appreciate. And like, I'm hoping as this gets put out there, that people understand that that's not the message that a lot of our kids are getting. That's not what a lot of the coaches, some of that AAU environment. I know AAU is more basketball, but football has gotten into that realm. And I'm just telling you how much I appreciate the things you're saying, because believe me, some people say that
Right.
because they think that's what people want to hear, but I can tell you feel it.
Nah, because I didn't went to battle with my own kind. I didn't went to battle with the Hokies, the Hokie alumni. I made a comment. I was so mad when Zach and I was so mad when Zach announced his top 8. I went on Twitter, I was on Instagram. It's like, how do you drop the ball with a kid that's right in your backyard that wanted to come there? And I said, you know what? If it was me, I wouldn't want to come to Tech either. And they went off on me. But you know, I didn't care because
Hey, keep it real.
I tell them 100, like, listen, man, ain't nothing that y'all fans can tell me about nothing, because you know, and the guy's like, do you give to? I gave my blood, my sweat, and my tears for them. That's what I gave. I gave that. And during my time at Tech, not saying it was just me, but Tech made a pretty penny.
Oh yeah,
$11 million at the national championship game, and that was in 2000. So,
Yeah.
Trey, what if they had NIL back when you was at Tech?
I'm a rich man right now, because I was the fan favorite.
Right. Come on,
I used
man.
to do stuff for free. I used to do it for free,
Right.
like, you know, commercials, like not really commercials, but just like, you know, come talk. I used to do stuff for free. If they had NIL right now, I mean, when I was in school, man, my whole team would be rich, man.
When they had the Chick-fil-A, the Dre Chick-fil-A.
No,
in Blacksburg.
no. I ain't a big Chick-fil-A guy, man. I mean, I respect the professionalism with them, but I ain't really a big Chick-fil-A guy.
Well, I'm just saying, somebody would have put your name on a burger or something.
Man, it could have been Joe's Hot Dogs if the money was right out there on it. So,
yeah.
There wasn't nobody that was kind of like running it that was bad or, you know, said, but you know, I wouldn't mind it. If the money was right, I've been on it.
Why don't we wrap it up, give you a chance to plug what you're doing with Drake and Talk, your platform, some of the things that you've already covered and some of the things that you have coming up, because I know you keep a close eye on the area, the Lynchburg area, and you've got some exciting stuff coming up.
Oh, no doubt. Well, you know, one thing that we started doing a couple of years ago was It Takes a Village Memorial Scholarship. And what we started off, we wanted to give one guy and one girl a $500 scholarship to spend on what they want. They're not books, not any of this, but if they needed it for that, fine. But we wanted, like I tell them, hey, if you look good, you're gonna perform good. So, you know, you go buy clothes, you go buy what. And last September, not this past, but a year ago, my mom passed from COVID.
Oh man, I'm sorry, man.
It's okay.
Right.
Mama was a good person, man. Mama, everybody loved Mama K. Mama K is in a much better place than this is, because that's, you know, and her big thing was giving, helping. She worked at the Red Truck Minister, food pantries at the church. She was the kitchen committee president. She was the usher board president. I mean, she cooked food. I mean, anything that mom could do to help, she did. So what we did, we renamed it the Mama K Memorial. It Takes a Memorial Scholarship. And what we do is that we raise now and got to the point with such great help from the community and from businesses that I mean, we were able to give 5 people actually scholarships for the last 2 years. And we've also teamed up with a man named Jerry Marshall from Buddies. And what he does is he goes out and buys the kids that won the scholarship laptops. So you know, for a free laptop. So, you know, we've been doing that. And basically like I said, when my mom passed, you know, I always said when my kids got out the house, grown, college, and what they was doing, I was gonna go try to do something different. I came to Florida, and you know, I met a lot of great people, a lot of connections and things of that nature. And you know, that's kind of where my podcast like started. You know, me and Mike, you know, he was the big Fox star, and you know, Mike was doing a lot of you know, I just enjoyed it, you know, sitting there like being when, you know, First Take Call, or when he was doing a interview, like a Zoom for First Take. I was like, man, I know I can do this. And I like talking to people, and I got something to say, and I got a platform, you know, and I know that if I get on a platform, I'm gonna get somebody to listen. So basically what I did was, you know, I just tried to do a fresh start, got my thoughts together. So now, you know, I'm just working my podcast, working my YouTube, you know, working on my social media sites, still hands-on with a lot of athletes, trying to bring light into on our city with our athletes that's in college, that's in high school. Also, I'm working with kids that's, looking to get drafted. I got some, doing research for agencies, people in agencies for them. I still do a little training every now and then once I got a chance to do it. But like my next big project is my niece. She's a big time softball player, 2B.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna try to get my little niece to live, get her right, and try to, because like I said, she got a whole lot of power and she got a rifle for an arm, and it runs in the family. It runs in the family. So my main thing is just like shedding light on the city, man. One thing I hate is my city, my school. The kids are our future, man. And like I said, I know a lot of people wish they had somebody that can kind of give them the real. I mean, it's always an assumption of what to expect, but I lived it. I've been there. I see it. I've been through the change. I know what's going on. I know the results of your actions. I know the consequences. Yeah. It's little stuff like that I can tell you. And one thing that I do, I try to be real careful with the kids is, they got so many people. I try to explain to you, okay, you are growing up. You're a young man, young woman, but guess what? You can go do this, but this is what's going to happen when you do this. So I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you the repercussion of it. And a lot of times, and kids listen, they hear it. It's a better way that we can come off to these kids instead of beating them in the head all the time.
Yeah.
You got to be able to finesse them. You got to be able to talk to them the right way. And most importantly, you got to be honest with them kids because they'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
And I tell you, it's a lot of parents out here who are trying it, but it's good when they hear from somebody besides their parent.
No doubt.
Like I've coached for years, and I know what I'm talking about. But when I tell my kids, they would think, Dad don't know nothing. My wife, led her high school to 5 state championships in track. She ran track at Maryland. And she tried to coach her kids in track and stuff. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So I even joke with some of the guys that I coach with. I say, look, can you please tell my son this? And then they say, you tell my son that. And I say it, they don't do it, but the other guys say it. But what I'm saying, like I said, I'm going to show this video to my son, who's an 11th grade football prospect. And I want him to know, because I want him to just hear the knowledge you're kicking, because you do know what you're talking about, and you're hitting all the right keys again. So I appreciate that, man.
And just like you, my man, like I get people to talk to Dre'Shawn and DeAndre, but it was crazy because I always used to mess with Dre'Shawn like that. Man, you don't even be listening. I feel like Dre'Shawn and DeAndre, y'all killing me, man. I have the blueprint. You do this right here, this what happens. But you want to veer off the here. Okay, so you go veer off the here and try your way and come back to the way that I told you a long time ago. Trust me, bro, I didn't do everything right, but I knew what was wrong. I know what was wrong, and I know how to correct it. So the thing about it is like sometimes they got to learn on their own.
Yeah.
It's always good coming from somebody else. And Dre'Shawn made me feel so good on my birthday. It was like, yes, he sent me a message. It's like, blah, 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 the GOAT. I'm glad that you know what I'm saying, Dad. And even though you don't think I'm listening, because I can sit there and talk to him and he'll just be sitting there doing something and I don't think he listened, but he listening to it. And it made me feel good to, that both of my boys was just like, yeah, you always fussing, but we hear you. We just don't want to hear you fussing. As long as you get the point,
Yeah.
I'm happy for that.
So Dre, one thing I want to cover, how can people support that scholarship?
Well, what we do is, and because I don't like to have no cash around a long time that's not mine. So basically what we do is right before they go to school, right before they go to college, and the criteria to being one of the people is that you just have to have a letter of intent going to college. So you have to have signed up to go to college. So basically what we do is we just throw a bunch of names. We get you post on the page, we put it in the bag. We're real transparent with it, and we do it right before they go to school, so we're not holding no funds over. So I'll put it out maybe a couple of weeks, a month, and I'll raise as much money as possible. And after that deadline, I just disperse it all up. So so that's just how we do it. And like pretty much it'll be on, now that I have the Drake and Talk page, it'll be on that a lot. It's usually on my YouTube a lot. I don't really deal too much with Twitter when it comes to that. I get a lot of community support because, like I said, the community in which we live in, that once, I will say this, a lot of them, 80% of these folks will support these kids if they feel like
Yeah.
something that's, that's real. Because you got some people that's out here that's just trying to raise money for themselves. But at the end of the day, I put, you send that money to that Cash App every day, I show you a picture of what's in there. And when it's time to disperse the funds are dispersed. And I'm a banker. I was a banker for 5-6 years. So when I talk to each one of these kids, take that $500. If you ain't got a bank account already, go open your bank account and get your stuff started. So it's not just here's the money, it's here's the money. Maybe you should try this. Just to kind of get the kids off on the right foot, man. That's what I'm all about. I messed up so much. I wish somebody was here. Was there to talk to me is like now, like we had social media and we had people that we can reach out. That would be great. My mom and dad, they did a great job with everything. It's just like some things you just didn't know. It just wasn't available like it is now. And it's a shame if you got any type of information that can help a kid and you don't help them, man. And that's just where I'm at with it. I don't care. I tell people all the time, I don't care about how you feel. It's about how they feel.
Yeah. Make sure we get that info. We'll help when you put it out. Make sure we get it.
And
support you.
Yeah, and let's have you back on so we can get that maybe beyond the Lynchburg area up here, to Northern Virginia, and we're both from Hampton Roads. But really appreciate you, Andre. When I watched it, I was like, man, this guy's good, man. I was like, I'm watching these videos and I'm just like, there's a lot of cats that get on here and it's and appreciate what you're doing, making an impact. It's important to have people like you in the community that care about kids and not necessarily the end result as in being a star athlete. Yeah. Rusty and I come from Hampton, Virginia. We know a guy that went to my high school named Boo Williams. Everybody thinks he's all about Alonzo Mourning, Allen Iverson, the big names, JJ Redick. No, Boo Williams is a guy that goes to the mat to help kids get an education, get a job. So people like you, we really appreciate you. We want people to check out Dre Ken Talk. That's DREKEN Talk. It took me a while to get the play on.
You like that?
I like that.
And then what we want to do inversely is we want to come on your show and we want to talk a lot about where we grew up and the ball, because we're a little bit older than you.
Yeah, I would love to do that because I was just talking to my editor, Greg. Greg was like, well, we need to get these guys on too. So we definitely going to do that. It'll be great. Get that 757 magic down there.
Yep.
And I really appreciate the platform, and like, you guys are great, man. And I appreciate everything. Appreciate you guys letting me on. And it's a big game for the Yanks tonight. So let's go Yankees. Go Yankees.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate you, Andre. And I hope the people in Jamerson Athletic Center are gonna hear this.
Well,
I'll close with that.
Hokie for life. Don't forget it.
All right. Kirk and Bird.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.